Welcome back to KMOT First News at 6. I'm John Jacqueline. Minot High football is now 2 years removed from its first state championship since 1980. The Magicians have had the best record in the AAA West region back-to-back years, each season led by a large and talented senior class. Minot comes into this fall with plenty of new starters on both sides of the ball, and head coach Chauncey Hendershot explains how that influences this team's identity.
Every season takes on a life of its own. Every team does. This group is really hungry. It's a group in a lot of ways. These seniors have sat behind two pretty talented senior classes. We have some young guys who put in a ton of work. They're just eager and hungry, and I think going out there, working really hard in the reps, learning from mistakes, and I think it's a team that's just going to improve immensely game to game, and we want it to be practice to practice.
And now we'll have more from the Magi tonight at 10. Well, the dog days of summer are slowly coming to an end as we creep closer to September. And that's a time when you maybe should consider a change in your approach to fishing. Lee Timmerman and Johnny Candle have more in this week's Pros Pointer.
This week, Johnny explains why downsizing your lure might be the way to up your catch. Here's this week's Pros Pointer.
Growing up as a kid, I heard every excuse you can imagine for not catching walleye in the dog days of summer. They go too deep, the water gets too warm. Heck, there's even a wives' tale that says their teeth fall out that keeps them from eating. Well, as I got older and studied fish more in depth, I've learned that that's not why we don't catch them. We don't catch them because we don't change the way we fish, although the fish's eating habits change immensely. What happens in the heat of the summer or the middle of the season is the young of the year bait fish are now edible size, which puts a gigantic amount of bait that's very tiny right in front of the fish, and that's what they focus on. So it's really simple. Drop down from a size 7 to a size 5 or a 4 crankbait, and maybe from an 1.5 inch spinner to a spinner the size of an inch. Maybe go from a whole night crawler to a half. Downsize your baits during the heat of summer, and the dog days will not be doggy any longer. I'm Johnny Candle, and that's this week's Pros Pointer.
Next week, believe it or not, Johnny wraps up season 29 of Pros Pointers.
Thank you, gentlemen, and that's all we have in sports. We'll be right back.